All right, we are finally live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name is Chris, and of course, this is my channel, We Love Comics. I hope you are enjoying your day. And today is actually Thursday, the 9th of August, 2018, currently 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And stupid me, for some reason, totally forgot yesterday was Comic Book Wednesday. That's why you didn't see the new video of the comics, so I'm going to show them today, which I'm sure is not going to help as many people as it would have. But I'm also going to do a key issue unboxing of a comic I got actually yesterday. So it will not all be for naught. So thank you for everybody coming in. Let me put on the camera, otherwise it's going to be a weird way to show comics if I cannot actually show them. So there we go. Looks like the microphone's working. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to show some of the books that I picked up today instead of yesterday, because again, stupid me, forgot that it was Comic Book Wednesday. I guess that's what happens when you don't have the typical 9-to-5 job where you're, setting your daily schedule. Didn't realize it until about 6 o'clock at night when I watched somebody's video and they're like, they titled it Wednesday Comic Talk. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's not Wednesday. And then I looked at the calendar. So, with that being said, let me show some of the books I got, and then I have an unboxing. So I see enough people are coming in. So welcome Jake, Timothy, Marcus, SWP Goat, Joe Spin, Comic Lover Omega, Mark Nigel, I know I screwed that up, Bobby Robertson, let me get everybody that just came in. So I'll give a little shout out. Corey Maxwell, always a pleasure, and Booty Robertson, I think I said his name, so you get it twice. And I will do the regular surprise subscriber shout out at the end, so stick around just for that. So, let's start with the first book. This one, I actually just really think this one is an interesting comic to follow. So I'm continuing with it so far. We'll see how it goes. This is from Image Comics. This is Unnatural, issue number 2. This is the regular cover. And darling Richard James, first time catching you live. Well, welcome. Thank you. This is the variant. I like this one better, but I figured I'd get both a chance. It's got some, interesting artwork. I really, honestly, don't know if I really like it or not, but it's definitely original-looking artwork. So, I had to get this cover. Normally, I won't get the regular cover, but just for some reason, just the artwork really intrigues me. I don't know who the artist is, but as usual, I have very smart subscribers, so they'll let me know about it, but there's something about that one. Now this one, I don't know if there's anything special about it. I just thought the cover was pretty decent. I believe this is Adam Hughes. Forgive me if I'm wrong. It doesn't say, but this is Superman issue number 2. I have the actual original Superman number 2, and if you saw my Golden Age books, you'd see that. But it looks like Adam Hughes, but he doesn't have his usual signature AH. So it either is him or somebody that's starting to focus their artistry to look like his. But I thought this was a cool cover regardless, so I thought I'd pick that up. I don't know if there's anything significant, because obviously I just got back from the shop, so I haven't read it. Alright, this one I've just finally given in. My comic shop keeps putting this in my pull list, so I'm like, you know what, I might as well just keep it at this point. So I'm going to keep it going, because it's actually been a pretty good read. There's an interesting scenario that happens at the end of issue 2, and we'll be focusing, I'm sure, on this one. I won't spoil it, but if you haven't read these, check them out. It's actually not bad, so I'm actually going to keep up the subscription, so I get 2 of each, and that's Amazing Spider-Man issue number 3. So, it's worth taking the chance on. We'll see where it goes. But my comic store kept putting 2 of them in, even though I didn't ask for them. So I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to use it. Now this one's one of those, you should check before you get, because I didn't realize it until I got home who made this. But I'm not going to deny that I bought it, just to show that, sometimes you just don't think right. So most people will think this is not a big deal. This is Oddwell issue number 1. I like the cover, but I didn't pay attention to who makes this comic, and that's by SBI Press. And I was told recently by one of my subscribers that this is Dan Harmon's company. So considering his video that was out, I don't really want to promote that, but this is a bad job on my behalf because I didn't realize the company name. It didn't hit me until I got home. So I could have easily just not shown it, but, I like to make sure I show even mistakes. So I really don't want to promote that book, but I want to show a lesson of make sure you pay attention. This is one, I don't know, just something about it. It's like very basic drawings. This is called Black Badge from Boom Studios, issue number 1. Carlos, hello. Uncanny Kawaka. What's up, mate? Fanboy Prime, George Brown, Sam, Matt, Carlos, welcome. So this one, I don't know. Again, it's just got like very basic drawing. It's almost got like, it looks like a Vietnam kind of look to it. So it's not SPI, it's SBI. It's actually the company owned by Dan Harmon. And if you know what he did recently, well, not recently, but the video that exposed what type of person he might be. So I'm not understanding this. Dorito, you say, but Dan Harmon's employer, the company that broadcasts Rick and Morty, is backing him. Yeah, okay, I read it wrong. Yeah, and I will not back Adult Swim either, so it shows the loyalty. It's kind of interesting these days that actors and people in Hollywood are actually going up with the people that are doing the wrong thing, at the very least, morally. But, morals go out the window these days, unfortunately. So this one's another one of those books. I've never heard of this company before. Just the colors really grabbed me, so I don't know if you saw this yesterday. But this is Blastosaurus, issue number 1. So it's got a cartoon kind of situation. Yeah, and don't get me started on James Gunn. I have a couple of videos on that. Which, by the way, I got a lot of hate because I would rather stick with my integrity and morals than have another Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Some people, unfortunately, most of them just don't read the tweets. But this is from Golden Apple's book. It's a $3.99 cover. I don't know what it will ever become. It almost has like that Cerebus the Aardvark kind of look to it, in my opinion. Now, of course, I'm old school when it comes to the comics. So most people these days may not know who that character is. Look him up and you'll kind of see. Next up, we have from Boombox. This is Lumberjanes, issue number 1. Obviously, this isn't their first appearance because they've been out before. It's called A Midsummer Night's Scheme. I don't know if this is a one-shot or a new series. It doesn't say a limited run, like it doesn't say 1 of 4 or 1 of 6 or anything. So might be worth picking up. Very thick book, which is something that Marvel really needs to focus on. Now this last one I'm going to show, I'm sure everybody showed it yesterday. The only reason I picked it up is a subscriber of mine about a month ago told me I should pick up this book. If I would have known these covers were going to be $5.99, I wouldn't have picked them up, but I only got one of the many variants. It's obviously Fantastic Four issue number 1. I only got the one that shows right here the new character. So I got 2 copies, but this was in my pull list. I asked for it about a month ago. I didn't know what the price was. And, yeah, $5.99, I really just don't approve of that. But like I said, I don't want to screw over my comic shop because it's the only one within 30 miles and they're pretty good with me. So, too many variants. I love Marvel, but Marvel, you gotta stop with the variants. There's just too many. And I saw they had the black and white 1 per store variant. They were charging $250 for that book. They had it on the shelf, and no one picked it up. So that should tell you everything that you need to know. I'm still waiting on the Perillo variants. Now, about 3 weeks ago, I made a video about this comic exposure place, and somebody really bashed me about it. Now, I've never dealt with them before, so I had no idea what they were talking about. I can kind of understand why people don't like them now, because I've sent them 3 emails and called them 3 times and left voicemails with no return. I'm still waiting on my comics. So I'll tell you this much. For anybody that accused me of being paid by Comic Exposure, I would never do business with their company again. They haven't sent out my comics yet. They haven't returned any of my messages asking where they are. Their number always goes to voicemail, and now I can understand why people were not happy with it. But I mean, give me a break. I've never used them before, so I never knew about that. So I love how people jump the gun and try and accuse me of things. But yeah, comic exposure I would never use again. So I haven't gotten that Virgin variant yet for the Fantastic Four #1. So I'm waiting. But here's the unboxing I'm gonna do. And yes, Timothy, I agree. Far too many variants. Now the problem isn't the fact that they're making them. The problem is if people are buying them all. Now, as you saw, I only had one of the variants. I'm not going to buy, which is actually funny because my comic shop will give me an email when my books that are on my pull list come in. And I told them I wanted I wanted 4 of #1. But they thought, and they registered in the computer, that meant that I wanted 4 of every variant. So when I got my email, the total was about $620. And I did one of those cartoon double takes with the eyes wide open. Yeah, so I called them up and straightened them out, so I only got 1. And because of the fact that they messed up, I was supposed to get 4 of that issue. They only had 2 left. But I only got 1 of the variants. So it doesn't matter to me if a company does the wrong thing. What matters is if people support it. And that's why I'll no longer watch Rick and Morty, even though I love the show. I had every comic and I had every intention of getting every comic. I will not continue. I canceled my subscription to Rick and Morty. I will not support James Gunn. And if these actors, like for example, Batista, if he's going to complain that he'll quit if James Gunn, with his disgusting tweets, doesn't come back and he quits, well, let him quit. They killed him off anyway, so it doesn't matter. So let me show the 4 books that I got in the mail. And these are key issues. And it's one of those things where, as I tell people all the time, sorry, I just want to get the box, wait for a deal because you will always find deals. And this is one of those that I've been waiting for a long time. And that is Legends of the Dark Knight series. I believe that's 4. Oh, this is 2. No, this is book 4. Out of all of them, I like that cover the best. This one was book 3. Book 2, which I have 2, 3, and 4 already. And these are all first prints, by the way. Finally got myself issue #1. Now, it does have some scratches on the back, so this is definitely not a 9.8. Has a back cover that's black, so there's a lot of parts where it's kind of scraped a little bit. But even still, this series I've seen sell on average between 125 and 175, even for very fine near mint. I waited for deals, passed up on many of them because I'm not going to overspend. I spent a total with shipping and handling of $71, which means they were $17.25 a piece. So, now let me read some of the comments here. John Reynolds says, look, it's scrolling really fast now. It's going to be hard to read, so forgive me. Let's see. Where's John's comment? Comic exposure is kind of slow and poor customer service. Yeah, I never knew that because I never dealt with them before. Some of the people, if you want to criticize me, at least, give me the opportunity to learn something beforehand. I don't know everything. Marcus says, Chris, if they don't reply to you, I track down the owner of Facebook. I'm just going to go to my Federal Credit Union. And I'm going to get my money back if they're going to continue to do business like this. But the funny part is, somebody blasted me for mentioning their store when I never dealt with them before. At least give me the benefit of the doubt. I mean, some people in this quote-unquote community are just really rude, nasty people. And then if you kind of retort them in the same way, they're like, oh, you can't handle criticism. Come at somebody with respect. I don't understand that. But yeah, I would never promote comic exposure again after this experience. It's horrible. But, sometimes you got to learn things for yourself, and no one warned me about them beforehand, so I never knew about it. Let's see. Okay, here's the one that John wrote. John Reynolds wrote, "Look, if we aren't willing to forgive past suggestions, are we any better off?" I'm going to tell you, John, it depends on what somebody does. I mean, this whole it's in the past thing is ridiculous in my opinion, and I'll show you a prime example, and I hope this never happens to you or anybody. But let's say somebody raped and murdered one of your family members, and they got away with it. Couldn't find them. And then all of a sudden, 10 years later, either the person confesses or they catch him. Are you going to say, well, it was 10 years ago, so it's okay, I won't press any charges? I mean, this whole ridiculousness of forgiving somebody based on their past, first of all, these are actors. Actors are there to lie to you. If you want to be convinced, there's a saying that says, by their deeds you shall know them, and actions are louder than words. So, if you saw James Gunn's tweets, and I have, when you obsess over something, there's usually something underlying to it. Now, that's not always the case, so I'm not going to sit here, I will never sit here and say that James Gunn is a pedophile. No, because I have no proof of that. But what he did was extremely inappropriate for a person whose employment is to make movies about superheroes that are geared towards children. Because Disney makes PG movies, so children can watch them. So I don't find it appropriate. And I'm a business owner. I would never hire somebody that had that kind of obsession. Whether it was playful or he really felt that way, we'll probably never know. But as an employer, Disney did the right thing. And these actors are rather defending a person for what they did that was wrong. Now, he didn't just say something stupid and then just walked on his own merry way. He did this hundreds of times. I mean, he had tweets that he deleted. Shows right there that he was embarrassed at the very least about them. But like some of his tweets were, Eagles snatch kid means I'm having a good day. Or I'm on a date. I don't remember the direct quote. I mean, these are disgusting things. Do you really care more about a movie? Because not for nothing, anybody can come in and direct a movie. I mean, we've seen that so many different times. I liked James Gunn. I liked the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. But I think protecting our children is more precious. And I'm going to get my usual 15 to 20 thumbs down from people that would rather, say, oh, it's in the past. That's ridiculous. That is such a ridiculous argument. Because like I said, I guarantee if somebody did something to you where they robbed your house or stole from you or did something even worse, you wouldn't sit there and say, well, it was 10, 20, 30 years ago. There are cases that are still open that they've been searching for the criminal for 50 years. And I guarantee if they catch them, that person's going to serve their time. They're not going to forgive them because, statute of limitations is up. That only works on certain things. So, has he changed? Well, just because he says he has doesn't mean that he has. How many people, will have a different moral stance once they get caught doing something? How many, for example, how many cheaters when they get caught say, oh, they'll never do it again? I mean, just look at politicians. So anyway, I really don't want to get this deep into it. I just find it at this point, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but for those who bash me because I choose to be on the side of protecting children over a comic book movie, that's fine. Like I said, my haters, they just don't get it because they help promote my channel. But you can't use the argument of it happened a while ago, because that doesn't mean that it changed what this person's mindset was. And that's why I've said, anybody that hasn't read James Gunn's tweets, all they have to do is read them. They're there to be found. Even Dan Harmon. How many of you know that Dan Harmon was in a lawsuit for sexual harassment? There are patterns here. And by their deeds you shall know them. But because they want to sell you a product, and Adult Swim has shown you that their priority is the contract that they signed, because if they fire Dan Harmon, they still owe all that money because they just made that big 70 episode deal. So they decided, well, we already have to give them the money, might as well keep them. So they'll give you the whole song and dance and politically correct response to make them seem like they're doing the right thing. But make no mistake, they only care about money. And if people's priority is constantly just money, 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 is it any wonder why this country is so divided as it is right now? I mean, common sense has gone out the window. And you cannot, whether you like a person or not, I mean, I don't care if I found out today that my mother was a rapist all of her life or a murderer all her life. I mean, I love my mother, but I would have a different outlook on her if she was caught doing these things. And as a business owner, I don't want somebody that's going to constantly obsess over something. It is not normal for a 40-year-old man to obsess with sexual comments towards children. At the very least, they're inappropriate. What if this person actually believes in these things? Because if you actually see some of the tweets that he interacts with other people, the main reason why his tweets surfaced is because he actually was caught. Somebody sent him a link to child pornography. I think it was called 1,000 Underage Girls Topless. And he shared that link. Is that a joke? That is actually promoting child pornography. And he got caught sharing that link. How many of you that support him know that? Look it up. So James Gunn had all of these inappropriate tweets about masturbating to 15-year-old Justin Bieber, or 16, either way, still a minor. Talks about snatching children as a good date. Talking about how he wants to have sex with underage boys. And then he gets caught sharing a link of underage girls topless. That is illegal. That is the definition of pedophilia. So, by their deeds, you should know them. Now, the reason most people don't know about it is because the mainstream media, who is financed by Hollywood, is going to say things like, oh, controversial tweets. How many articles have you seen where they'll say, oh, well, James Gunn was fired because of controversial tweets, but they don't have the integrity to actually say what those controversial tweets were, and they actually back the actors. You know, everybody says Chris Pratt, oh, he's so religious, he's so kind. If he's so religious, why is he backing a person that talked about, at the very least, talking about having sex with minors and children? So Chris Pratt, who's supposedly so kind and nice and religious, is going to back the person that wrote that disgusting stuff? And people still see him as the good guy? Guys, these are actors. They're paid to lie to you, to make up fictional stories. They're very good at it. They've convinced people to sign a petition of over 300,000 people to get a potential child pedophilia person who at the very least writes hundreds of inappropriate messages on how they'd like to sleep with children to direct another movie that's based for kids. And I'm the bad guy. I don't understand it, and you notice there are 75 people watching right now because I'm talking about something that is controversial. 10 years ago, this would have been a no-brainer. And gaming psychology, I have to disagree with you on this because she says, I think Chris Pratt is getting forced to agree. Nobody's forced to ever do anything. If you're going to take the moral high ground, sometimes that means sacrifice. Sometimes that means losing something that you love. You know, people with real integrity are going to lose friends, are going to lose maybe a job or something. Integrity should be more important. So he's not forced. There's no gun to his head. A lot of people in Hollywood stay silent because they are, one, either blackmailed, or two, they make a lot of money through their silence. That's why people can joke around about the casting couch, even though it's been around since the days of Shirley Temple. This is not something new. And Marcus, I appreciate that. He says, we're on your side. That's great. I want people to be on the side of morality. Now, like I've said in other videos, does James Gunn have the right to write what he did? 100% yes, he does. in a country that still, as of now, still is democracy, even though it seems more and more socialists are starting to gather ground, which is pretty pathetic if people understand what socialism really is. We still have the right to say what we want, but that does not mean there are not consequences. Please tell me if any of you are any of you were hiring babysitters to watch your children, and let's say James Gunn wasn't a famous actor, he wasn't a famous director, he was just a person that was hired to babysit your children, and you saw his hundreds of tweets about how he wants to have sex with children. Would you hire him and continue to keep him as your babysitter and allow that person to be alone with your child? It's a no-brainer that you wouldn't. So what has changed? And if anybody thinks that's okay, they're just lying. They're fooling themselves. And like I said, I'm going to get the thumbs down because that's what people do. They have nothing better to do. And I look at it this way as I'm doing a public service for them. Because instead they could vent their anger out in frustration and commit crimes or rob somebody or hurt somebody. If they're going to vent their anger by thumbing down my videos, I'll take the hit. So, yeah, John Reynolds says him sharing a link to porn, not pork. That would be even weirder if he shared a link to child pork. Is something I was unaware of. Yes, you want to know why you're unaware of it? Because all the big YouTube channels, all the big media firms, none of them talk about it. Why? Because it goes against their political agenda. People need to do their own research, and I say this all the time. Look up the fact that James Gunn put out a actual tweet that shared a link of 1,000 girls topless. 1,000 underage girls. He shared that. So everybody wants to make it, he's just joking. Those are people who didn't read the tweets. Those are people who care more about a comic book movie. And here I am showing comic books on a comic book channel that would rather value principle than my own collection, even if it damages it. Because integrity means sometimes you have to sacrifice to do the right thing. Because a lot of times you notice that the person who stands up against oppression tends to stand up alone. Because most people are afraid to check things because they don't want to know. But what that does is allows the evil to continue and thrive and get worse and worse. And Dorito, I appreciate that. It's good to see some people still have common sense. This, to me, should be a no-brainer. Like I said, 10 years ago, this wouldn't even be a discussion. So, the media is not telling you for a reason. I mean, I'll give you a prime example, and obviously we're going into a little bit of a tangent off of comics, so if you're listening this far, thank you. But, I mean, they're always talking about, like, the NFL players and these people that are taking a knee to stand against the oppression towards a certain group of being shot. Now, if you research it, and you won't hear it in the news, or they'll barely talk about it, in Chicago in the past weekend, there were 71 people shot, I think 13 of them killed. Now, Chicago has the strictest gun laws in the country. You didn't hear about it because the media's not talking about it because it doesn't go against their agenda. Where are the Black Lives Matters there? Where are the Jesse Jacksons protesting? Where is the news coverage from all of the media? They don't talk about it because lying is not always telling you a lie. It's omitting the truth because they know that 99% of the people out there will never research stuff. So how many of you in the comments section, whether you're watching this live or later, how many of you actually knew that the main reason why James Gunn's tweets were exposed was because of the fact that he was caught sharing a link that he knew was about underage girls? That is illegal. That is not a joke. That is something that you and I, if we did it, we would be put in jail. Where's his investigation? And people want to give him his job back, and they want to vouch for him. So you cannot say that time went by. And Big Dog says, it's on CNN and Fox. I never said it wasn't. I said they will glance over it, and they don't talk about it for the mainstream. So, I mean, you don't have to be sarcastic. Present your response in a way that's presentable and not putting somebody on the defensive. So I never said it was silenced, but I guarantee you most people don't know about it because they don't talk about it like they would a Russian scandal, for example. You have to know how the news works. So, Big Dog, please listen to what I say. I never said it was radio silence. So, Yes, Marcus is right. He should be in jail because if you and I shared a link and he says in his tweet, it's on one of his deleted tweets, so this is not something I'm making up. You can look it up, even though he tried to get rid of the evidence, which is that's a federal offense. You know, if you're committing a crime and you end up deleting the evidence, that's actually an additional crime. So him deleting it is trying to save face, but it's also getting rid of the evidence. But because of the internet, and Big Dog, we're good, don't worry about it. And because of the internet, people record stuff. So James Gunn had a tweet that he wrote out the title, 1,000 underage topless girls. And I don't know if that's the exact quote. And he posted the link for anybody to see. You won't hear that on the big YouTube channels. You won't hear that on the comic book channels. You won't hear that in the media. They'll just say controversial tweets because they know most people won't look them up. Because if you did, you'd have a different train of thought if you are a decent human being. The people who thumb down a video because I am on the side of children than a potential pedophiliac are sick people. But of course, they'll never make a video justifying why James Gunn should get his job back because they would be murdered. Not physically, but I'm talking about in the comments section and the thumbs down. You think I get a lot of thumbs down? I dare one of my haters to make a video justifying why James Gunn should make a comeback and why he should have his job. Give a legitimate argument. I challenge any of you to show your face and make a video of why James Gunn deserves to be back in Disney. Don't shut off the thumbs up and thumbs down. Don't shut off the comment section. And I guarantee you, first of all, you won't do it. And if you did, you'd be crucified. So most people, they'll say things. And Big Dog, don't worry about it. It's all good. Texting is a little different than talking. Okay. So then if you actually believe that, then I want you to text on your Facebook page how much you would love to sleep with a child. And then I want you to text a link to a pedophile video and watch how fast you get arrested. So, Big Dog, I highly recommend you learn law because there's things called libel, slander, and yes, what you write down can actually come back to haunt you, and you are responsible for what you say. And it's actually worse that you write it down, because if I just say something and nobody recorded it, well, it's hearsay. But if it's written down in actual words, you can use it as evidence and proof that you actually said it. So, Big Dog, I appreciate the fact that you're leaving your comments, but I've studied a lot of law, and unfortunately, it's not different. It's actually worse, because if you know about law, if I went to a friend and accused that person of being a pedophile, and I have no proof, in law that's called hearsay, that it's inadmissible in court. But if I showed tweets or texts where that person was bragging about having sex with children, well, now I have physical evidence that I can show that at the very least warrants an investigation. So you got to know the law before you say things. And that's why people like James Gunn and many people in Hollywood get away with what they do, is because people don't understand how the world really works, and they base it on the very people that want you to be kept in the dark, and they'll tell you how they want you to think. That's your choice. I mean, I tell people on my other channel all the time, and I stopped making videos for a while there, but, you know, if you don't research things, you better hope that the people that give you information are giving you truthful, honest information. And all you have to do is look at the world today. We're more divisive than ever. More angry than ever. Separation of classes has never been further apart. People are overweight more than any time in human history. People are on medications and drugs and antidepressants. Is that a sign of a healthy world or a sign of a world that's becoming very fractured? Where common sense used to dictate that if somebody's writing messages about wanting to sleep with children, those people should be locked up. Because it's just at the very least not something an adult should be doing. I love comedy. I grew up on comedy. I've never once made a joke in my life nor heard a joke in my life about somebody wanting to have sex with a child. Not once. I'm 47, about to turn 48. And these people in Hollywood all the time say it's jokes. If you want to believe that, that's perfectly fine. Just, I hope you don't have any kids. we should be protecting our children, not handing them to the viper. You know, like they say, evil thrives when good people do nothing. And that's exactly what's happening. So evil is thriving. So we got into a rant, and what would have been a 5 to 10 minute showing of some comics ended up being another rant. But hey, like I said, it gives my haters a chance to thumb down a video, and I challenge any one of them to make a video. And Big Dog, if you really want to talk about this stuff so much, if you have the passion in your way and you have the right to do it, make a video. Tell us your side. Leave it open. I'll be more than happy to watch it, and I will give you an honest, fair chance. And then we'll see how the audience responds. Most people talk a good game, but they're afraid to do it. See, I'm putting my face out there. I'm not afraid to talk into the camera and say what James Gunn did was wrong. He does have the right to do it, and I hope to God the only reason he did it was for jokes. But handing out illegal child pornography is not a joke. And all you have to do is look it up to find it. Search James Gunn's deleted tweets, and you will see it right there. I challenge people to do it. So anyway, I mean, sometimes you cannot have a logical discussion with anyone that has to do with emotion or what other people program into them. But I implore people, do your own research, question things. So, I mean, you think the way you want. And the funny part is, I don't even have any children. So I could easily be quiet on this issue because it doesn't affect me. But what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. Chris, do you have the article link? James Gunn sharing that link. I can't seem to find that article. It could be deleted at this point. I'll try and look, but I've seen it. And as a matter of fact, I had the link in one of my other videos about this. So they're hiding the evidence. I'll look and see if I can find it, but if not, congratulations on their behalf. Like what Hillary Clinton did with all her emails. She deleted 33,000 emails even when she was under federal investigation, which last time I checked is a federal crime. But when you're a politician and you make a lot of money or you're famous, you can do things that most of us would be thrown in jail for. I find that a little hypocritical. If you're going to make laws, they should be consistent for everyone, not for the ones you have a select few for. Otherwise, it's a bit of a hypocrisy. So that's it. So go check out the James Gunn. I'll see if I can find it. If not, they did a great job of deleting it. But I'm sure there are YouTubers or other people who care enough to have recorded it where it will be out there. It's probably just going to be harder to find. And if you share it, YouTube will say you're creating hate speech or something like that and try and block your information. That's why people like Alex Jones, which I don't believe in, and I think he is what I call a fear porn maker. Not real porn, but, fear porn. He's like social. He's all about scaring the hell out of people, but they're silencing him. And if you want a country, you could be silenced for your own right to your own opinion. That's a dangerous place to go. I mean, you can have an opinion of what you think about things, but, wanting to have sex with children, there's got to be a line crossed somewhere. So anyway, thank you for listening. And Monk's Den says, to play devil's advocate a bit, Disney is a bit hypocritical. Robert Downey Jr. was a major drug abuser. Now, there's a big difference between somebody that does drugs and somebody who does things to children. So we got to keep it in perspective. Crime is crime, but there's different levels of crime. If I steal a pencil from a 7-Eleven, I've created a theft. But that's a big difference between somebody else that robs a bank of billions of dollars. So we do have to keep it in perspective. And almost killed 2 people in a car accident. Again, it's an accident. Yes, if he was on drugs or alcohol, he should have been well, he did serve his time. He did go to jail. So, he did serve his time. And I am a firm believer in people should get a second chance when they are punished for their crime. James Gunn, what's his punishment? And yes, Raccoon Eyes, Walt Disney was a pedophile. If you actually type in sex in Disney, you would be amazed at how many things you'll find. So maybe they're changing their ways. Maybe they're just better at hiding it at this point. So it's very hard these days to stand a common ground. It's not always easy, but sometimes you do have to pick your battles. You can't win every one of them. So, it is what it is. Do your own research and learn things. Don't base things on what people tell you. Don't base things on what the media tells you. And definitely don't base things on what the majority of people tell you. Because the majority of people follow what everybody else does. And I'll give you a prime example before I go. To be a licensed massage therapist, you have to learn about CPR. You have to be certified. And one of the things they teach you in a case where somebody's, let's say you're applying CPR on somebody, and you're saving their life, and a group of people will come around. Nowadays, a group of people with their phones recording it. They teach you not to just scream out, someone call 911, because what will happen is everybody will stand there looking for somebody else to do it, and nobody will do it. So they actually teach you to look at somebody directly in the eyes and say, you, call 911. So crowds base things on what other people do. And I've said that so many times with comic books. When do most people buy comic books? When everybody else wants them. I mean, prime example, how many people right now are currently looking to get the first appearance of Ultron, the first appearance of Apocalypse, or any character that's already been in a movie? You're not. And you can get them a lot cheaper now than you could have a year ago, probably half price. But no one's getting them because nobody else is talking about them. That's why I tell people, it's like most people get comics when everybody wants them. And if you miss the boat, by the time you can get it cheap, no one will want it anymore. So, it is what it is. I try and speak common sense. Doesn't mean I get everything right. Doesn't mean I say it, eloquently. I don't have $1 million studio with professional writers that set up a cue card for me to read. I just speak from the heart, which means I'm going to have passion, which some people take as anger or frustration. It is what it is. I'm a very passionate person, especially about what I believe in. But the good thing about beliefs is if you can show me evidence that contradicts my beliefs, I am more than happy to change them. But you have to do it the right way. So, Big Dog says, potentially Disney will own all media. They will hide anything and everything. That's what media does. They hide everything that goes against what they want you to believe they are. If people actually knew how most companies were run, they'd probably never buy another product from these companies again. But they tell you what you want to hear because they're selling you something. When was the last time you ever saw a nasty car salesman? What do? Oh, and for the people who love my cats, here's one of the cats live. So what does a car salesman do when you go into their car dealership? They go up to you, hey, how are you? Nice tie, beautiful baby. Are you looking for a car? Come step this way. Isn't it a beautiful day? They're not going to say to you, oh, what do you want? God, you're like a fifth person I've had to deal with today. If you don't have money, I'll just sit over there. No, of course not. They're not going to make a sale. So salesmen, their job is to first sell the salesman. I used to be a salesman. That's one of the reasons why I quit, because it was nauseating. And they say the good salesmen are people who sell themselves. You have to be a good BSer. And that was one thing I couldn't stand. I used to make good sales, but I did it with integrity. I was honest with people. And people were actually bought from me because they were so shocked that I wasn't trying to lie to them. But that's what most of these people do. And yes, my cat, this is Oregon. He saw the camera. He's one of the stray cats. I love this cat. I have 2 others. They're all strays. He's the one that you see most of the time. He's a ham. So there you go. You got comic books, you got a rant, and you even got a cat at the end. And he's screaming for attention right now. So I'm going to give it to him. All 3 of my cats are strays. Love them to death. And to me, kids and animals are the things that we need to protect more than anything, because this cat is reliant on me to keep him happy, healthy, and alive, and they love you unconditionally. So if James Gunn was writing these things about animals, I'd have the same problem. Babies, little children, and animals have a hard time defending themselves, and in my opinion, they should be cherished and protected. So not one animal has ever thumbed down one of my videos. Not one animal has said a nasty thing about me or my family. Not one animal has ever given me a death threat. But yet, some adults do that on a regular basis. So, anyway, thanks for listening. I hope you have a great day. And I'll see you next video.